First reading, a reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verses 10 to 14. If you obey the voice of Yahweh your God, by keeping his commandments and decrees written in the book of this law, and if you return to Yahweh your God with all your heart and soul, for this law which I am laying down for you today is neither obscure for you nor beyond your reach. It is not in heaven, so that you need to wonder. Who will go up to heaven for us and bring it down to us so that we can hear and practice it? Nor is it beyond the seas, so that you need to wonder. Who will cross the seas for us and bring it back to us so that we can hear and practice it? No, the word is very near to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart for you to put into practice. This is the word of Lord. Thanks be to God. Second reading. A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Colossians, chapter 1, verses 15 to 20. He is the image of the unseen God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him were created all things in heaven and on earth, everything visible and everything invisible, thrones, ruling forces, sovereignties, powers, all things were created through him and for him. He exists before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, that is, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he should be supreme in every way, because God wanted all fullness to be found in him, and through him to reconcile all things to him, everything in heaven and everything on earth, by making peace through his death on the cross. This is the word of Lord. Thanks be to God. A reading from the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 10, verses 25 to 37. And now a lawyer stood up and to test him, asked, Master, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, What is written in the law? What is your reading of it? He replied, You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said to him, You have answered right. Do this, and life is yours. But the man was anxious to justify himself and said to Jesus, And who is my neighbor? In answer, Jesus said, A man was once on his way down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of pandits. They stripped him, beat him, and then made off, leaving him half dead. Now a priest happened to be traveling down the same road. But when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite who came to the place saw him and passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan traveler who came on him was moved with compassion when he saw him. He went up to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them. He then lifted him onto his own mount and took him to an inn and looked after him. Next day he took out 2 denarii and handed them to the innkeeper and said, Look after him, and on my way back I will make good any extra expense you have. Which of these three do you think proved himself a neighbor to the man who fell into the pandit's hands? He replied, The one who showed pity towards him. Jesus said to him, Go and do the same yourself.